Investigate the factory, Mission 7. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Ranger. Now Kyle, we must shut down the power supply that drives the Dusk Factory. We must stop the Go-Rock Squad from making any more of their stylers. Let us drive them out. It's an interphone for authorized people, a type that requires a password. Well, we don't know the password. Seems we need a password to open these gates. Ah, but this is nothing. Stand aside and let my genius shine. This only requires a 2-digit number. How's this? Go-Rock, go, 60! 60, and these gates should open. Wow, that was easy. I never expected it to really open that easily, but not to worry, let us go. There should be a generator somewhere that's making the electricity for the factory. Let's find it and knock it out. That might be the worst security I've seen this side of an umbrella facility. The automatic door isn't responding. We'd best find another entry, Kyle. Alright, sounds good to me. In the last part, we finished off our business at the Jungle Relic, and well, now we're storming a factory. So we actively just passed the door we need to enter, but that's because I want to come up here and catch myself a Voltorb. So Voltorb in the spin-offs and everything is known for exploding, so that's exactly what it does here. The explosion is large, it really hurts, but thankfully it has a bit of a weird hitbox at the same time, because you can kind of be behind it, but not all the way. Using the electricity secreted within its body, Voltorb can recharge your styler. And somehow I survived that despite being human. But I'm coming all the way over here to catch myself a Makuhita. You don't need to catch that Makuhita. I'm only doing that to grab another Pokemon for my browser, more or less. But you might as well do it now because otherwise, I guess no matter what, if you're going for 100% browser, you have to backtrack to here eventually now that I think about it. So I went up there also for the Meowth because you need the Meowth to actually progress. The Makuhita, though, is not necessary. Alright, so up here, we got the obvious Go-Rock Squad member with the Voltorb, but I want to use the Makuhita on this box to move the box and somehow reveal a hole that it was blocking, despite the fact that feels like that should have fallen into it. And that allows us to come down here and find ourselves a Growlithe. Growlithe's main attack is relatively large fireballs that move all the way across the screen. It moves pretty slowly, it's adorable, not a very troublesome Pokemon to catch. Doesn't even have a field move. Growlithe is a lively Pokemon that breathes embers while scampering about. You can usually tell how important a Pokemon's gonna be, either for area progression or otherwise, based on the fact if it has a field move or not. I don't know about your missions or clearing or any of that ranger stuff. All I know is that it's irritating. I mean, what is that? That capture on thing? Come on! I mean, you're the one throwing 2 explosives at me in the middle of your own factory. That seems like a mistake on your own part there, buddy. Yeah, you guys are so lucky getting to say stuff like capture on. It's kinda cool. And now we can enter the factory itself. Let's go. Why are we stopping? Who is that lot? Oh, for the love of God. Pokemon Go-Go! Even if you're in a hurry, stop in your tracks. Open your ears to our melodic attacks. The rhythm of rage pounds the ground. Let the melody of ambition rise to the skies. If you don't know us, we'll cure your ignorance. Billy, Garrett, Clyde, Tiffany, the Go-Rock Squad's top prospect band, key shaker and taker celebrities. A name once heard and never forgotten, the Go-Rock Squads. Do you even know I'm here right now? That'll do for today's practice. Blech, practicing's boring. That's the attitude that made you lose against that child. I don't care either way. Let's cut this useless chatter. I just want out of this greasy place. If I don't get to go shopping, I'm so going to get totally stressed out. Now Tiffany's, quit being so self-centered. Garrett will stay to oversee the factory. We're going back to the hideout because the boss is waiting for us. Good Goodness, that force them put one mighty racket, don't they? Yeah, a little bit. Get used to it. They do it every time they show up. Welcome inside the factory. Aha, a generator. Let's shut it down. How could they be so cruel? They're draining this Pikachu's power to run their electrical system. The only way this generator can be stopped is by rescuing the trapped Pikachu. Kyle, it's up to you. Make quick work of it. Okay, problem with that, though. This thing takes a cut power of 2. The Meowth outside's only a cut power 1, so we need to find something else. Also, I guess that's meant to be the Stylers. Here's a bit of a unique Pokemon to fight, Mr. Mime. While it's walking around, it puts up light screens. The light screens are active attacks, but they work closer to, say, the fire during the Charizard fight. In that, until they just despawn, they're always there in the field, acting more as like landmine traps than anything. Got a decent amount of loop health, though. Mr. Mime puts up invisible barriers while performing its pantomime motions. And I'm gonna hold on to this because, well, Psychic type. I love that Poké Assist. The Go-Rock quads I'm kind of complicated on in my thought process on the whole, because I think they do a good job of fulfilling the admin role, but the way they interplay them in plot and cutscenes feels a little off. We love messing with the Rangers, and the flip side, we hate being messed with by the Rangers. I mean, get used to it, because I'm going to be here the rest of the game here, buddy. I hate how these turned out. Before the boss finds out I lost, I should go back to the country and start from scratch. Even as a kid, though, I could tell the Go-Rock quads were trying to hit that Team Rocket motto level repetition and endearingness, but they just don't get nearly to that level because, for one thing, I think they're pretty one note. But also, the fact that their intro is so long is a big part of it, because you cannot skip any of that, besides just the text boxes. For now, though, it's time for Hypno. It's a stronger Drowsy down to the point where its projectile is basically identical, although it gets bigger faster. In fact, I think it has a larger total size. But hey, another Psychic Poké Assist, so I'll take it. When Hypno spreads its arms wide, it's preparing to attack with Psychic Waves. As much as I like the Psychic types, admittedly a big problem with them is that most of them don't have a field move, which is kind of annoying in its own regard. Because if you're trying to just get around, you always want to have Pokemon that have field moves more than anything. Also, random trees about in the world usually have just a random bug-type Pokemon on them. Speaking of bug types, time for Pinsir! Pinsir in combat uses the exact same bite attack as Raticate, but it's ultimately slower until it sees your capture disc, in which case it'll charge directly at it. But we need to capture this because this is the Pokemon nearby that has a cut field move of level 2 or above. So we need this to free the Pikachus. Also, I don't think I mentioned it, the Bug Poké Assist works like the water one, but you fling a web at the opponent by flicking instead. Pinsir grips items with its 2 long horns. It cuts through a metal fence with ease. It's not as useful for the most part unless you're fighting very specific Psychic-type Pokemon, Poké Assist-wise. Not a favorite. Also, very easy to miss Go-Rock Squad grunts up here. Ah, what are you doing here? I was slacking off here the whole time. Oh, no, I was here the whole time thinking I wish I could goof off. This isn't the only time you can encounter a Slackoth, but it's the earliest time you can. Get this, Slackoth is a sloth, it's slow. But to counter that, its projectile is pretty far-reaching for what you would expect it to do, and the attack does come out pretty quickly once it actively decides to. Like the name suggests, Slackoth is slow, however, its claws can't be overlooked. About me goofing off, not a word to anyone, okay? Look man, I get it. Sometimes you just need those extra off-schedule breaks because things get too stressful. In my years working part-time jobs at grocery stores, I did that in bathrooms all the time. Let's free ourselves that Pikachu jump cut back here just for the sake of simplicity. Off you go, Pikachu! And down go the lights. Ah, I see. When a generator stops, the factory floor's lighting grows dim. Judging by the size of the factory, there must be other generators about. Let us find the next one. All right. Thankfully, despite it being a factory, it is a relatively small area. There's a sudden chill in the air. Ooh, time for one of my favorites. There are ghost Pokemon out and about. Be careful that they don't abduct any of your friend Pokemon. Yeah, this is something that any ghost-type Pokemon, but particularly the Ghastly line, when and if they show up, can do. If they make contact with one of your friend Pokemon trailing behind you, they can actively kidnap them if you don't walk into them yourself soon enough. Ghastly can be kind of annoying because it's a teleporter similarly to Curlia like we saw before, and while it's teleporting, you can't capture it at all. And its projectile is relatively small moving, but can't be underestimated because it does decent damage and it is relatively large. With that said, the Ghost-type Poke Assist is one of my favorites in the game. It's another immobilization type, but it works a little differently. In that when you make a loop with a Ghost-type Pokemon, its Capture Assist on, a little ghost is summoned to the field and wanders about semi-randomly. It does try to home in on enemies if they're close by, but that's about it. And when that ghost makes contact with an enemy Pokemon, they are stunned for a certain amount of time. This gives the added effect of, if you're making continuous loops around an opponent, the ghosts basically spawn directly onto said opponent and can just stun lock some enemies. Ghastly fades in and out of view while it tries to spirit your Pokemon away. Give it up for Pokemon number 100. We are now over halfway done with the browser already. Not that there's any real reward for getting certain percentages of the way through besides getting them all. But now we want to come back to the room where the Hypno was, but now there's just more Ghastlies, and head down to the south. Oh, that's right, there is another muck. I forgot about this one. It's gonna be ready soon, a brand new style that doesn't need any of that feeling of justice crud. Our power styler will let anyone easily capture anything. So what if the Pokemon get injured in the process? They're just tools to be used by the Gorak squad. We got a new Pokemon here though, this is Beldum. So Beldum's technically a type of Pokemon I've talked about before, in that they're what this game has closest to being dual types. They are a Psychic type Poke Assist, but their grouping is Steel. This does mean that it's kind of hard to find their weakness around here unless you go out of the way to go pick that Growlithe again, unless you've already used it. But the main thing that's kind of annoying about them is their attack. Like, similarly to the Gligar and Bagon, their only attack is a charge forward. But they don't really have a tell for it. The moment they see you, they start charging. There's not any kind of build up for it. So capturing them can be kind of rough. This is why I would recommend bringing in the Growlithe from earlier, but I also recommend having a Mr. Mime around just for the muck so you can make the grime it leaves behind a non-existent issue, even if it's for a temporary period. Anything you can do to stun at least one member of the group is going to be worth it in this fight. Which is weird because this isn't even really the boss fight, it's, I guess, technically just a trainer battle. It is interesting how in some ways you can look at this and see how they brought in a lot of the mainstay ideas from mainline Pokemon, but just changed how they work a bit, which is kind of neat. Albeit, I think there's some parts of it that feel a little sloppy in that regard. Beldum throws full-body charges. It can easily shunt aside small obstacles. It's not important if I have to win or lose here. The likes of you are too puny to interfere with our Grass's band ambition. That's one of the weirder ones of those I've had in my life. But now I'm here to grab the Houndoom, because we're gonna need that to progress onwards, and now we're back on the roof, which was just a few rooms north, because I need to get another pincer for the next generator. And thankfully, the metal scrap we need to melt with the Houndoom is right here. Now, if you're playing along, you maybe noticed another issue with mini-bosses and boss fights at this point in the game, where sometimes, in most cases it is because the Pokemon you're targeting is in the middle of an attack, your capture will just get canceled even if you fulfill it completely. What do you think you're up to? You're the ones that are shutting down the power, huh? Why would you do that? They'll set all the Pokemon we rounded up. Free. Got the word free in there. Oh well. More fighting type Pokemon. Unfortunately, since you can't keep any Pokemon from trainer battles like this, so to speak, not exactly useful for their Poke Assist, but oh well. What'd you do that for, huh? I'm gonna catch Big Troll from the boss who let the Pokemon go, huh? Pokemon Go's a different game, guy. I don't know what you're talking about, dumb joke out of the way. Moving on in the factory. Oh, that's a lot of Rattata. Rattata,
Garrett sent word about some ranger kid and an old man running loose in the factory. Frankly, I don't care if you're a kid or if you're old. I'm gonna come after you without pulling any punches.
You're throwing rats at me. That's not exactly much of a punch. Rattata aren't hard on their own. The big problem is most of the time you fight one, they're in large groups like this. So having a stun type Pokésys like Psychic's pretty helpful here. Thankfully, they take literally only one loop. Some Pokemon that say they take one actually are taking two. They only have one. If captured, Rattata throws tackles as hard as it can with its tiny body. I think they have an attack and it's maybe a small tackle for her, but that's about it.
You didn't need to get all serious.
Yeah, I actually think I did. Also coming up, we have the return of an old Kanto staple, movement tiles. The moment you step on one, you are sent all the way to the end of the line you're on. Use careful observation to see where you're probably going to end up from where you stand on the panels, and then go from there. It's over pretty quickly. This is the only room in the game that really has these, actually, now that I think about it. But it's a welcome puzzle and helps make this area feel a little more distinct. And in here is our next generator.
There, that's the second generator. Pikachu, rest assured, we'll get you out of there.
What's this we? Oh yeah, you know what, you're right, me and the Pokemon. I kid, Professor, I swear, don't fire me. Alright, is that the last generator?
There should be another generator at least. Hurry, let us find it.
One to go, got it. And I went through this in a very specific order because I wanted to come down here and get this pincer for the next thing we're going to be doing. Going back to what I was saying a few moments ago, though, yeah, there's just going to be times in the game, especially against boss fights, where you completely fulfill the amount of loops you need for an enemy, and sometimes they just won't capture, it'll just pop like the Pokemon walked into your capture line. A lot of the time, I think that's because you stopped capturing while the boss themselves was in the middle of an attack, or otherwise wasn't in an idle enough position where the capture will count. I don't remember this being an issue in the later games because of how they changed the health system in Shadows of Almia on, and it just makes this game feel all the worse.
Ah, now this is easy. Pressing that red button should open the door. Click!
What have you done to us?
Oops, my mistake. That must have been an alarm button. It's a mistake that anyone could make.
Sure.
Sir, I heard the alarm. Is something the matter, sir? Wait a second, it's you. You're the two intruders that are messing up the factory.
Oh boy. Our first Go Rock Elite, and we got, I think, two new Pokemon here, Ariados and Crobat. Ariados is just a larger Spinnerack that's a lot more aggressive with its attacks, and Crobat is a very fast Zubat that I think even has a very fast projectile. Not exactly a hard mini-boss, as you can see a single level 4 Plusle and Mining can take them down pretty quickly, but be careful all the same. Crobat darts about quickly in the air. It looses ultrasonic attack waves. Ariados is quick and nimble on its feet. It spits Silk to interfere with capture. Bye.
It's too late, even if you shut down the factory now. We've already produced more than enough stylers to last us.
Great. But now we want to come in here because we got a couple of good Pokemon, including a Ludicolo, who I might want to capture, but more importantly, we got a Scyther here. You're going to need this for plot, so make sure you grab it. Scyther is a pretty nimble Pokemon doing a lot of short hops around the area at pretty fast speeds, and the moment it sees your capture disc, I think, it looses a pretty fast projectile that can be hard to avoid. So as usual, stunning is pretty useful here. I forget if there's any flying type Poké-Assists you can grab around here that could be useful. Maybe the Wingulls have that. I actually forget if they are a different Poké-Assist from their field move type Pokemon. Either way, pretty handy to get, even if the Bug Poké-Assist itself isn't great. Ooh, and another level up. That puts us up to 34 health? I usually cap out at about the mid-40s by the end of whenever I play this game. I've only maybe reached max level in this game once. Scyther slashes while hopping about. Its scythes can destroy a metal fence. Oh no, I guess it just has a close range attack. I think I'm thinking of its cousin down the line. Or am I? Maybe I'm thinking of a different Pokemon entirely. There's a lot of Pokemon. We're over 1,000 now. Teal Mask came out like a week ago, and I have yet to play it because I'm waiting until the second DLC comes out, and hopefully that leak is real and it fixes issues by releasing with a pure update for the game. But more about that
years down the line. Ah, the third generator. Raichu, have no fear. You can go home soon enough. But this is a terrible, terrible thing. How could they be so cruel?
I mean, they've kind of proven themselves to be like this consistently. So this is why you need the Scyther. This larger generator requires a cut power of 3 to destroy instead of 2. And hopefully that's the entire factory depowered. I've always loved Raichu's cry. I don't know why, it just sounds cool.
Well, Kyle, well done. That should stop them from making any more of those wicked stylers. Our job is done here. Let us quit this place now.
But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 13, we're going to finish our stuff off here at the Dusk Factory before moving on to our next mission. See you guys then.